Nanya, start.
Now we are going to begin with our second session of our International Virtual Conference on Role of Forensic Science in Criminal Investigation. Our first speaker for the session 2 is Dr. Carlos. Dr. Carlos has completed Bachelor's in Art in Public Security Administration. He has completed Master's in Management in Educational Field. He has completed his Master's of Science in Forensic Science. He has a PhD in Forensic Science. He has served as police officer of Carabineros de Chile and was responsible of personnel and patrol in Santiago City. He has served as CSI team leader and forensic ballistic expert of Carabineros de Chile, Labocar Santiago. He has served as chief of forensic anthropology and copyright laboratory of Carabineros de Chile, Labocar Santiago. He served as forensic laboratory director of Carabineros de Chile, Labocar Maur. He was a teacher, a laboratory assistant in the Forensic Science Unit at Chaminade University of Honolulu. He served as science director and instructor through Forensic Science LLC. He was a lecturer of forensic science, Chaminade University of Honolulu. He has undergone many graduate and diploma courses of various forensic fields. He has attended many forensic coursework, workshops, seminars, and webinars and conferences. He was invited as a lecturer in many conferences and workshops. He has presented many papers in national and international conferences and workshops, and he has received many honors and awards. Over to you, sir.
Sir, please turn off on the mic.
So you're not audible.
Just use the turn on mic option. Not audible still. Uh, we can move to next speaker. Meanwhile, sir gets connected. Yeah, yeah, Nanya. Nanya, open mic.
Yeah, next speaker is Dr. Sachal Kumar. Dr. Sachil Kumar has completed BSc Honours in Chemistry from University of Delhi. He has completed MSc in Forensic Science from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University. He has completed PhD in Forensic Medicine and Forensic Chemistry from King George Medical University. He was a guest faculty of Forensic Science in Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University. He is currently working as an assistant professor at Department of Forensic Chemistry in College of Criminal Justice (NAF), Arab University of Security Sciences, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He is an editorial assistant in the journal. He has served as an editorial board member of many international journals and as a peer reviewer in many journals. He is a competent forensic scientist in presenting evidences in complex and challenging cases. He has presented many posters and oral presentations in many international and national conferences, seminars, and workshops. He has more than 25 national and international publications. Over to you, sir.
I can start the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. This side is Dr. Sachin Kumar. And first of all, I would like to thank the Legal Desire to give me a chance to speak in this international virtual conference on role of forensics in criminal investigation. Myself, Dr. Sachin Kumar, now working as an assistant professor in the Department of Forensic Sciences, College of Criminal Justice, Naif Arab University for Security Sciences in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to speak related to the post-mortem interval estimation by protein marker cardiac troponin. And the ever-increasing crime rate necessitated the development of methods for determining times in death. Many cases involving criminal investigations revolve around the time of death and the potential alibi of a suspect. In spite of the availability of various tools for the PMI estimation, the development of a reliable methodology in the laboratory has not been commercialized till date. Researchers in this field dating back to 1800 have paid much attention on temperature measurements, postmortem, and possible algorithm to model the behavior of postmortem cooling of the body or alga mortis. Studies in mammalian brains, myocardial skeletal muscles, and lungs have identified specific proteins that are altered time dependently post-mortem. There are nowadays the various methods available for the estimation of the post-mortem interval, like the supravital reactions, levity, and putrefaction. The life stage of the insects has been also used for the estimation of the extended PMI for outdoor settings, and the chemical and immune histochemical methods, such as the use of biochemical markers for PMI estimations, H magnetic resonance spectroscopies, DNA degradation and DNA incorporation, strontium 90, calcium analog levels, enzymes and cycles of the uterus have also been explored as possible PMI determination methods. Clearly, difference in sequence function stability and protease cleavage sites can drastically alter the pattern of postmortem degradation in specific proteins, a difference that can be exploited in the development of biochemical methods to estimate the PMI. Selecting, this is also the question that when we are going to select the protein with a specific pattern of degradation and different sensitivities to environment, for example, temperature, even should provide a group of proteins that could be employed together to generate specific information about the PMI. Thus, the estimated postmortem interval is a mere approximation, and the science dealing with it is still in the nascent stage despite the development of newer techniques which remain mostly unused. Keeping this in mind, it was decided to develop a method that is more sensitive, economical, require less high-end instruments, and easy to use. It was planned to monitor the relationship between the PMI and the quantitative analysis of cardiac troponin degradation by using this electroscopies and which provide an extended time window. The material, we collect the cardiac tissue samples from the medical legal autopsies. And the chest cavity was opened and the heart was excised out. And the heart was then stored at different temperatures, the room temperature and 12 degrees centigrade, 25 degree and 37. Isolation of the CT and T from cardiac tissue was selected because of its abundance in the highly protected internal organ, and this protein.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to disturb you, sir. Actually, if you want to share your PPT, so you can share, because I don't think so everyone can see your PPT.
I already share with you the PPTs. I already send you through the email. Okay, but no problem. I will share this. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. Now it is working.
Yes.
Okay.
You can do it in full screen.
What?
You can make it on full screen if you can.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the finding a simple extraction method of CTNT that would ensure that no degradation would occur during the process, but important in terms of cost, time, and selectivity. And the cardiac tissue which we collected from the medical legal autopsies, frozen cardiac tissue was cut into small pieces in sample trays placed on dry ice. 1 gram of cardiac tissue was homogenized with 4 ml extraction buffer consisting of 25 millimolar acetate buffer in 6 molar urea. The samples were centrifuged at 5,000 for 5 minutes. The resulting supernatant was allocated into Eppendorf tubes and stored at minus 80 degrees centigrade until used. An allicate from each tissue sample was thawed and the protein content was determined with the help of this burette endpoint method. Equal amount of protein was separated by SGS page, 12% running gel, 5% stacking gel. Gels were then stained with commissive blue to verify the loading levels. The cardiac troponin present in the homogenate was separated with the help of electrophoresis, and after that, to monitor the degradation pattern, we used the Western blot. And the scanning and the digitizing of the image were done with the help of the gel dots. This is the study flow chart. We exclude the cause of death as in this presentation. We just only consider the road traffic accident cases without any prior history of diseases, and we keep the samples at room temperature 12, 25, and 37 degrees centigrade. And after that, we have to incubate for different time periods. And after that, following a homogenate from tissue, and again stored minus 80 degrees centigrade. And after that, we follow this STS page and Western blotting, and after that, we quantify the bands. This is the procedure for running STS page. The samples, 15 microliter, is prepared for electrophoresis by transferring 20 microgram of the supernatant content cardiac troponin D, 3 microliter of sample offer, and 0.75 microliter DTT, and rest of the water into the test tube to make the total 15 microliter. And the prepared gel was placed in the electrophoresis system in the proper holder. The running buffer was added to the tank and setup was checked for the leaks. The above prepared samples were boiled in the hot water bath, 80 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes using long point tips loading pipettes. 15 microliter of each sample is carefully loaded, and then this is connected with this BioRed computer controlled electrophoresis power supply, and at 60 volt for 2 hours. After electrophoresis is complete, turn off the power supply and disconnect the electrical LEDs. The blue dye front line indicating migrating proteins. To stain the gels, we We removed the gel from the tank and covered with a staining solution and left for 1 hour. To destain, gel was placed in the destaining solution for 1 hour, and again the solution was changed once it was saturated with dye. After the electrophoresis, we proceed for the Western blot. The performing Western blot is to detect the expression of the specific protein in tissue homogenate or cell extract after size separation by gel electrophoresis. To perform this method, the gel was removed from the tank and rinsed with distilled water, assemble transfer sandwich. We are using here the wet transfer system. Fill the tank with transfer buffer and place transfer cassette containing sandwich into electroblotting apparatus in correct orientation. And after running the Western blot for 120 minutes at 30 volt, the membrane was blocked for 60 minutes in TBS buffer containing 5% non-fat rye milk. To detect the antigen blotted on the membrane, the primary monoclonal antibody troponin TC2G3 SC33721 was added at a ratio of 1 to 800 dilation TBS buffer containing 3% non-fat rye milk and incubated overnight. And in order to detect the antibodies which have bound cardiac immunity, anti-immunoglobulin antibodies coupled with a receptor group known as the secondary antibody were added. And finally, after the axis, second antibody was washed from the blot, a colorimetric precipitating substrate, NBT-BCIP was added. This substrate precipitates upon reaction with the conjugate, resulting in the visible band where the primary antibody is bound to the protein. And after that, the color band was scanned with the help of this gel dog. And the color band was scanned for intensity and migration distance with the help of the gel dog. And after this, then we have to make the optimization of the cardiac troponin T through the stage page and Western blot, optimization of the buffers. First step is the optimization of the buffer. We took the 3 buffer sets with 25 millimolar acetate buffer and with no DTT, and second is the 25 millimolar acetate buffer in 6 molar urea and 10 microliter DTT, and the third with 25 millimolar acetate buffer in 6 molar urea and 10 microliter DTT for extraction. And clearly, as we see in the picture, that in the buffer set 2, we resulted in a higher recovery level for the cardiac troponin T, and therefore this buffer set was used for the next level of extraction. And after this, we make the optimization for the concentration of the gel. We took the 3 concentration for the gels, and 8%, 10%, 12%, 14% were used for the running gel for analysis. Samples were electrophoresed at 60 volt until the bromophenol tracking dye front was approximately 1 centimeter from the bottom of the gel. And as we see in the picture, that the 12% resulted in the high recovery level of cardiac troponin T. Therefore, this gel was used for all experiments performed with the human. And after this, we optimize the Western blot for time and current, following the protocol as we get for this the percentage of gels and the buffer, then we follow with the current and the time. The Western blot for STS page for extracted cardiac troponin T was performed using 3 different set of conditions with respect to time and current. First set is the 30 volt current and 120 minute time. Second, 60 volt current and 60 minute time, and third set for 80 volt current and 40 minutes time. As we see that the set of 30 volt for 120 minutes time interval shows a complete transfer of proteins, and we use this for the further experiments. After we make the protein quantification, standardizing protein levels in postmortem samples pose a problem since the standard markers, example cardiac that are used, can also undergo digestion. We have found that our approach of loading specific amounts of cell extract based upon predetermined protein concentrations generates protein profiles in STS-based gels that indicate equivalent protein loading. And then we have to optimize Western blot for the antibody. And we see that we use the 2 different anti-cardiac troponin T primary antibodies of with catalog number this SC33721 and this 86111. The purpose of this experiment was to find an antibody which could detect both intact and the fragments of the cardiac troponin. As we see in the figure 5, we see the cardiac troponin 3372 anti-human cardiac antibody reacted with intact human cardiac troponin. As we see that these are the first band is at the 37 kDa because this is for the cardiac troponin and this is intact. And you see the downside, these are the fragments of the cardiac troponin. And after we checked the sensitivity study of dual antibody Western blot following the optimized procedure given for this as this page and Western blot, and this concentration of 5 microgram, 3, 2, 1, 0.5, 0.3, 0.2 microgram of standard human cardiac loaded onto the gel followed by electrophoresis and dual antibody blot by running a primary antibody against cardiac troponin followed by an anti-mouse antibody linked to alkaline phosphatase. You see in the figure 6, which shows a sensitivity up to 0.2 microgram. The cardiac troponin degradation profile in the extraction of human cardiac troponin. First experiment with human heart tissue was performed by incubating 1 gram samples for 0 to 7 days at room temperature. The same protocol as the one optimized for the extraction of the human cardiac troponin, ST space and Western blot was used. The heart used in this study shows some degradation at the time 0, either related to the processing of the tissue or the medical status ante-mortem, as it can be seen in figure 7. At 0 time, Western blot data clearly showed the intact protein at 42 kDa and one fragment at 27 kDa, as you see in this figure. As the time increases, the formation of the lower molecular weight fragments also increases. Again is the optimization of the cardiac troponin from human heart tissue. And as we see that at 0 time, there could be some degradation of the. To prevent this degradation, we have used different combinations of the protease cocktail inhibitor was applied to the extraction buffer. As we see in the figure 8, the addition of 1 millimolar protease cocktail inhibitor to all extraction and washing buffers was needed to optimize the procedure and prevent further degradation of the cardiac troponin at 0 time. This is the cardiac troponin degradation profile, study of time, the Western blots for samples of the human cardiac tissue. We took the 5 samples, shows degradation for samples incubated at the room temperature. These are the different hours. We choose the 15, 35, 39, 58, up to 189 hours. This is the first evidence of a possibility of cardiac troponin as a potential marker of PMI. As you see in this, that you see the intact band very clearly, and after that you see the number of fragments as the time increases. At the time increase, the number of CT&T fragments increased with 2 fragments of approximately 27 and 10 kDa being most prominent. At 12 days postmortem, the fragments were not detecting due to the further degradation to smaller molecules caused by immune reactivity of cardiac troponin fragments, which were not identified by the monoclonal antibody used for this research. The color band was the intense scanned with for the intensity and the migration distance with the help of the unit this gel dot universal hood second, using the integrated area of the intact cardiac troponin related to the total integrated area intact plus fragment from a Western blot line. The percent intact cardiac troponin was calculated and the data were plotted. As you see here, the percentage of cardiac troponin degradation on the y-axis is plotted against the log of the hours post-mortem on the x-axis. It's pseudo-linear relationship. This is the percentage of cardiac troponin is equal to 36.36 plus 17.10 log hours post-mortem. That could be applied to the determination of the post-mortem interval. And after that, we check this at the room temperature, and we follow for the temperature, effect of temperature on the cardiac troponin degradation. As the samples of the human heart tissue were incubated at different temperatures as given. At 12 degrees centigrade, the intensity of the band intact cardiac troponin decreased steadily as compared to room temperature 25 and 37. Overall, both EMI and temperature, as we see in the figure, showed a statistically significant effect where the greatest amount of protein broke down was observed within the first 38 hours and the highest temperature 37 degrees Celsius. The combination of the high temperature 37 degrees Celsius and the low BMI, this 105.15 hours, had the most drastic effect on the breakdown on cardiac troponin. However, when the percentage CTNT degradation on the y-axis is plotted with the log of hours postmortem on the x-axis, again a pseudo-linear relationship. That could be applied to the determination of the BMI. The results showed that the consistent degradation of the intact band of the cardiac troponin, followed by the appearance of the lower molecular weight degradation product with respect to time. And the human heart used study showed some degradation at the 0 time, either related to the processing of the tissue or the medical status antemortem. And for this, we use the protease on in vitro cocktail, reduce the rate of degradation. As we see in the result that as the time since death increased, the number of fragments of the cardiac troponin also increased, with 2 fragments at 27 and the 10 kDa being the most prominent. And as we see in the earlier methods for the estimation of the postmortem interval, that all the methods are influenced by several factors. Perhaps one of the most influencing factors is the environmental temperature. This cardiac troponin degradation was studied with the human heart and also with 4 temperatures, and found that both BMI and the temperature had the statistically significant effect. As we already discussed in the results section, that the highest amount of the protein degradation was observed at the 37 degrees Celsius. This temperature dependence allow for a wider postmortem interval for bodies found at cooler temperature. And the strong significant positive correlation was found between cardiac troponin T and the postmortem hours. The regression analysis showed a good variability. And there are some limitations of this study also, that as we know that to calculate the time since death is not an exact science, as many forensic pathologists will hesitate to even attempt more than an estimate of a window of time. As we know that after the death, a number of processes naturally occur in the human body, although these changes proceed in a relatively orderly fashion. A variety of external factors and intrinsic characteristics may accelerate or retard the decomposition. And the environment, whether it is hard to call the activity of the victims before death, whether the victim struggled or took drugs, many things can speed up or slow down these processes. As we also see in this postmortem caloricity, the temperature of the body after death either rises or be consistent up to 2 hours. Understanding the common postmortem changes and the variables that affect them allow the forensic pathologist to more accurately estimate the postmortem interval and to provide a time frame during which death occurred. These are the conclusions from this study. What we conclude that the results suggest that looking at how troponin T degrades over time is a viable method to calculate the postmortem interval. And to see the effect of temperature, or then this cardiac troponin T was studied at 4 temperatures. And as we already know that the result revealed that at 12 degrees centigrade, the intensity of the bank decreased steadily as compared to room temperature 25-37 degrees. This temperature dependence allows for a wider postmortem interval for bodies. As we know that most of the indoor methods used for the estimation of postmortem interval are of limited time range, usually 1 to 2 days. Entomology is often used for a longer postmortem interval estimation with an average starting time of 95 hours postmortem, and work for outdoor settings where flight would be found. The late start time leaves a gap between the body temperature method of 40 hours maximum and 90 hours for a average starting time for entomology. The use of cardiac troponin T provides a connection between the temperature method and the entomology. It provides a wider, up to 10 days at room temperature, and more accurate time range for PMI estimation. Another big advantage of this method is that the cardiac troponin T is extracted from the heart, an organ that is protected from the environmental factors such as the wind, temperature, and precipitation, factors which lower the estimating power of temperature and entomological methods. With regarding to the cardiac troponin, the effect of body temperature at the time of death is minimal since degradation starts at about 24 hours post-mortem and the body starts cooling off immediately, as we see in the algor mortis. Overall, the use of cardiac troponin to estimate the post-mortem interval provide an extended time window that is less effective for the body temperature at time of death and by other environmental factors. And this study also used a very simple and highly applicable electrophoresis method that makes hopes into a more convenient method in determination of an extended time window. There are some suggestions for the future that meanwhile during the course of work, several other questions have arisen, highlighting some areas where there is still need for research and areas that the author maintains and interested. Primarily, an elaborated work can be done on the changes in degradation pattern with respect to various other causes of death, as in the case of the myocardial infarcts, or the poisoning cases, or the electrocution cases, or the burn cases. That what are the effect of these cause of death on the degradation of the cardiac troponin? Several other dominant questions to be answered, as the tissue cardiac troponin, such as increased serum concentration of troponin, especially have been detected in the presence of renal failure, acute heart failure, myocardial necrosis, and also in the pre-dialysis population. The generation of a rate constant for cardiac troponin degradation in tissues with a large number of samples at different temperatures and other variables such as environment, weather, and the ethnic background will be useful for better prediction of PMI using this method. However, their usefulness in determining the cause of death or the relationship to pathology. We can also use this method to determine the cause of death before death continues to be a subject for further studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Uh, uh, Dr. Carlos, sir, so are you able to enable your mic option and can you please try and speak? Hello?
Is working? You listen me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Go
Now,
ahead.
okay, perfect. Great. So let me share the screen. So thank you so much for your time. Yeah, technical difficulties always happen, but I hope you listen me well now. Thanks for in the introduction before. As they mentioned, yeah, I'm Dr. Carlos Gutierrez. I'm Science Director of True Forensic Science. And these are my social media for if anyone want to follow me or send me an email or any question. I'm more than happy to answer it by my social media. Also there's the Forensic Science social media as well. So we can share different kind of information. Also, I'm science director of True Forensic Science, and True Forensic Science, just so you know, is the official seller for Link TV company. All this forensic product in India. So if you have any question, you can buy any kind of product. Please refer the email over there, the Anna Arroa at trueforensicscience.com. For this conference, the overview for this conference, we will talk about 6 points today. So the first one is going to be the crime scene processing. The second, the 6th step of the crime scene processing, the CSM mandate, the evidence, some interpretative value of the evidence or the evidence in context, and of course a few conclusions during this conference. So this is everybody know the CSI TV show. This is the most ideal scenario, of course, with all the resources and everything. But everybody knows that it's not real, especially when you don't have the enough resources to solve all the crimes, of course. So we need to understand the crime scene investigation. Why the crime scene investigation helped during the criminal investigation, and the crime scene investigation, they examine and evaluate each scene. So they provide this investigation, they provide these scenarios, and they processing and evaluate this scene. So why they need to processing and working in the scene? Because they need to recover the physical evidence and documenting everything in the crime scene. So other really important part is not a single right way to processing the scene. Of course, you need to follow the methodology. Of course, you need to follow the steps we will see in the next few slides, but it's not the right way to processing any scene. For example, if you are in an indoor scene inside, I don't know, whatever, a house, it's not the way, it's not a right way. Okay, you start in that way, you need to use this model to processing this scene. No, the expert at the scene need to figure out that. So you need the expert need to follow 6 basic activities for organize the crime scene processing, and they follow these steps make a huge difference between the order and the chaos you can find on the crime scene. And of course, this is going to be your result in the end of the in your report. So that's why you need to be methodological in this part. So these 6 steps are assessing, observing, documenting, searching, collecting, and processing and analyzing the scene. So we will see one by one right now. So the first one is assessing. The assessing is when you arrive to the crime scene and you need to determine what kind of course of action you will do in this scenario, especially when you have specific circumstances as well as, I don't know, rain, or is in a hill, or in a beach, or you have a crowd of people around. All these specific circumstances you need to figure out to get organized during all this process. You need to coordinate as well all the resources you can have in your team. I'm meaning amount of people, amount of experts, if you need to any specific or special equipment, and so on. So you need to figure out in this step in the really beginning what you're gonna need when you are working at the crime scene, and of course provide the duties from each team members. The second step is observing. You need to observe the crime scene, and the way to observe this crime scene is first is doing an initial walkthrough. So you use all your senses for check the crime scene in the really beginning. So in this step, you start taking notes about what you feel, what you see, what you have in your crime scene in the really beginning. For example, if you can feel or you can see smoke, or you can see or you can feel some smells like, I don't know, gasoline or other kind of accelerants, you need to take note of that, because it's that kind of evidence can be or you can lose that kind of evidence really quick. We will talk more about it in the end of this presentation. The third step is the documenting. is the crime is in the documenting part. You have 4 steps you need to do. First of all, taking notes. Everybody needs to take notes at the crime scene. The notes are really important. During this process, you need to explain in the notes everything. I mean, time you arrive, environmental conditions, team members, of course, address, everything. You need to write out everything and what you are doing in the crime scene and what you are processing, the way you are processing the crime scene. The second part of the documenting is taking photograph. The photographer need to take all the photograph, and also she need to take notes as well about all these pictures. The You can record a video as well if your agency or the place you are working, you have available the video camera. For making the video, you need to do really slow. I mean, the movement from the camera need to be really slow. You need to avoid any comments. In just record the scene, so in the court everybody can watch that video. So that's why you need to avoid a record with voice or any comments in the video. And the sketches is also a really important part, because in the video and in the photography, you can see the scene, but you cannot see or know the right measure of the scenario. So the sketch will help you to provide a real measurement from everything at the scene. The first step is searching, but you search for what? And you need to search, of course, for evidence, physical evidence, or some of about. You need to search for each specific pattern you can find at the crime scene. So, pattern meaning bloodstain pattern, fire, arson, and so on. So, this kind of pattern you need to looking for in your scene. The fifth step is the collecting. So you need to collect physical evidence. And why you need to collect physical evidence? Of course, you need to collect it for preservation. So you preserve this evidence to show it in the trial, and also, if it's necessary, you collect this evidence for further analysis on lab. So sometimes you don't have all the resources to processing and analyzing this evidence at the crime scene, so you need to go and come back to the lab to processing in a controlled environment with the, of course, a specific or right expert to do it. And finally, you need to processing and analyze the scene. So processing meaning apply finger powder, check the bullet trajectory, and so on. This process, this part is really invasive process in the crime scene. So that's why it's the last step, because you need to alter everything at the crime scene. Sometimes you need to move stuff, you need to add different elements. So that's why it's in the end. So in the scene, you can processing physically, as I explained you, develop fingerprints, check the bullet trajectory, and so on. And also, you can do a reconstruction if it's necessary. And in laboratory, you analyze, of course, all evidence. So, and this evidence can be analyzed by the right expert, and also it's a really controlled environment. So, are different situations and different scenarios. So the CSI mandate is really simple. As a crime investigator, as a forensic scientist, you need to be objective all time. All time you need to be objective. You need to avoid bias. You need to avoid the pressure from other parts of the involved in this case, And also, you need to try to act never in emotion. I know it's really hard, especially when are difficult crimes, but you need to be unbiased all the time. And also, you need to understand the truth versus the justice, and sometimes are not the same, but you need to understand the difference. So, what is evidence? The what evidence means, and the evidence, according to all the, the expert and the books, and especially all the standardization, is anything can tend to prove or disprove a fact in contention, of course, in the real or in any justice process. So, is everything can help to prove or disprove a fact. It's pretty simple, the definition. And you have two types or two kinds of evidence. First of all, you have the testimonial evidence. And testimonial evidence is any statement made by people. That means the suspect, the witnesses, victims. What is the problem with this testimonial evidence is, the, first of all, is subjective. So, uh, if one of these people want to change the testimony, want to change the statement, they can do it. It's totally fine, and probably they can change the case. So also the memory, the perception of the memory is you really sometimes it's far from the perfect or the from the reality. So it's not they can change all the time. The physical evidence is the second type of evidence. This evidence is real. That means you can touch it, you can see it, you can analyze it. So that's make the difference between the testimonial and the physical evidence. The physical evidence doesn't lie, so you can analyze here, you can analyze it there in India, in I don't know, in whatever part of the world, and using the same process, you always have the same answer. You always have the same result. So is objective, and this physical evidence can support or can refute the testimonial evidence. So that's why the physical evidence are important. But also, we need to understand the physical evidence need to be processed by an expert. So if this expert make a mistake during the processing or the analyzing this evidence, of course you can have a different result. And that doesn't mean the evidence lie. Mean the expert who process the evidence, uh, they don't do the right thing. We need to understand or the value of the evidence. We need to interpret our evidence. So we need to understand why this evidence is there, why this evidence help us during this process. To understand in really easy way, we need to uh, think in the crime scene like a huge puzzle, and each evidence is a piece of puzzle, and we need to put all together to see the big picture or the big screen for this puzzle. The problem are sometimes you have missing pieces of the puzzle. Of course, we don't have the picture of the reference in the box from the from the puzzle. And the other question is, we have more than one puzzle in or is in. So that's why it's better understand this way. So we have the interpretative value of the evidence. For doing that, we need to understand the context of each evidence, and we have predictable effect, unpredictable effect, transitory effect, relational detail, and functional details. We will see each of them now. in the context, all the evidence will provide us and really, really important information. So for predictable effects are any change to the scene or to the evidence that's happened with some rhythm. So we know that will happen to that evidence at some point. That provide us a time reference um, during our investigation. So that's why it's are really important, these predictable effects. So for example, the easiest way to understand these predictable effects is using a dead body. So in the dead body, we know we will have a livor mortis, we know we will have rigor mortis, and we know we have some forensic entomology. Uh, so we need to understand that, and because we know it, we can predict some times. So we know in this time frame, at this hour, we start the rigor mortis and so on. And that is the 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 idea from this predictable effect. So we have also the unpredictable effects. Unpredictable effects are any change happen um, unexpected, and these unexpected changes are made because when the crime happened, the door was, for example, closed, but someone opened this door, of course, before the investigator team arrived. So that uh, generate this unpredictable effect, and we need to understand it in that way. So I don't know, the paramedics arrived to the crime scene, um, and we have that also that change from the crime scene because they need to save the life of the victim. So that are unpredictable effects. These transitory effects are also really important and provide us time as well at the crime scene. For example, gas, smoke, ice in a glass of water. Uh, all these elements provide us a really important time frame. For example, if we have a glass of water at the crime scene and the ice are still inside, we can talk about really, really um, uh, really close to the time because we still have ice in the glass of water, and we can do the exercise to know how long it's going to take this ice to melt in the glass of water, for example. That provides us a time reference. Is a specific information we can uh, see or we can know about the car. If you touch, for example, the trunk of the car um, when the engine where the engine's in, and if you feel the heatness from the motor engine from the car, you know it. The car arrived really in a really short time. Different if it's cold. So that information is really good for you as investigator. So we have the relational details as well. That means every evidence found at the crime scene have relationship between each other. So, for example, if we have a lot of bullet casings in the floor, in the ground, we know it, that a shooting happened there, and we can even position someone in some specific position, depending on the places we found this casing. Um, Other functional details is the operation of the items. For example, if I have a gate and the gate doesn't open because whatever is rust or I don't have the keys or simple, they don't need keys to open. Um, we need to figure out if that work in that way for always, for forever, or it's just because of the crime they change this functional detail from that element. Again, we need to figure out if that can work properly before this crime happened, or something is wrong, or even if that can doesn't work, that and you have a deadly homicide made by the firearm, probably that firearm is not the firearm you're looking for from your crime scene. So you need to figure out these functional details to help you. Also, for really good question to understand the evidence, if that items of the evidence are involved in the crime you're investigating. First, what it is related with the crime I investigated. What function did it serve at the crime scene? The relationship between this item you find at the crime scene with other items you can have at the crime scene, and the timing and sequence information you can have in your crime scene. For example, I don't know, if you are looking for, again, in a shooting, and you have in a crash a lot of casing cartridge, but you have one casing cartridge under the ground or underneath the grass. Probably it's not for that event, probably it was from an event before, so that's information you need to figure out at the crime scene. And this is the triangle of the evidence, and the evidence always need to be related with the crime scene, with the suspect, with the victim. So you can have all these relationship between each other, and this is pretty much the local principle, the uh, the principle of Lockhart. So this is really simple to understand the relationship between the evidence are and also the environment you are working on. As a conclusion, to finish this presentation of this lecture, first, you always need to follow the methodology at the crime scene investigation. Always, this is the key for the success. So you always need to follow this methodology. Try to never skip some steps, because if you skip it, you lose the methodology, and you can be questioned in court. Secondly, you need to identify always um, the evidence, because the interpretation of the evidence always is going to be crucial to solve the crime. And to be a successful in the crime investigation, the investigator need to mix the knowledge, the experience, and also the skills you need to work at the crime scene. But we will talk, that is other topic, we can talk about it in other session. So thank you so much for your time. Again, there are my social media, uh, and the True Forensic social media as well. If you want to follow us, and if you have any questions, just contact me and send me a message by my social media, and I'm more than happy to answer you any question you have. So thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for the opportunity you have me to give me to be today with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It was a very informative session. Now our last speaker. Now our last speaker is Dr. Rajiv Kumar. Dr. Rajiv Kumar has completed his BSc in Life Sciences and MSc in Forensic Science from Agra University, and completed his PhD in Forensic Toxicology from SHUATS Prayagraj. He has been awarded UGC Junior Research Fellowship and Senior Research Fellowship and Excellence in Reviewing from International Journal for Innovative Research in Science and Technology. He has worked as senior scientific assistant chemistry in Government Forensic Science Laboratory, Delhi for 18 months. Currently, he is working as an associate professor in Division of Forensic Science, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Calcutta's University, Greater Noida. He has published more than 73 papers in peer-reviewed international journals and published many book chapters. He is an active editorial board member of 28 international journals, associate editor of 4 international journals, and reviewer of 32 international journals. He has published many abstracts in international and national conferences, seminars, workshops, and has organized many conferences, seminars, and workshops. He has been invited as guest speaker and session chair in many national and international conferences. More than 38 students have completed their master's dissertation under his exemplary guidance, and currently 6 research scholars are pursuing their PhD under his supervision. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ananya. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Anuj and Legal Desire team for inviting me as a speaker. Hope you are doing well and safe at your home. Now, without wasting your time, I'm sharing with my topic. Slide is not open.
Mm, yes, sir. Now it's available.
Okay, thank you. My topic is forensic identification of sexual assault by use of party drug. Let's know about the date rape drug. The date rape drugs are quite common and increasing the developed as well as developing countries. The most common date rape drug, also called club drugs, flunitrazepam, also called rupees, GHB, ketamine. These drugs look like pills, powder, liquid, and no color, no smell, no taste. When added to a drink or any kind of food. Drug facilitate crime is general terms that include rape or other sexual assault, robbery, money extortion, as well as the deliberate maltreatment of elderly or children under the influence of psychotropic substances. These are the drugs that are sometimes used to assist the sexual assault. The central nervous system depressed substances that have been most frequently assist the facilitate sexual assault in the use of alcohol, benzodiazepines, gamma hydroxybutyrate, and ketamine also. Next slide. Let's start with example. The first example is benzodiazepine. Benzodiazepines are drugs used to treat anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, and several other conditions like sleepiness. Uh, some benzodiazepines used to treat insomnia possesses powerful sedative, motor impairing, the strong amnestic properties. Frentragipam, tremazepam, and midazolam are three benzodiazepines most commonly used to facilitate date rape. All three are hypnotic benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines have also been used as date rape drugs because they can markedly impair and even abolish function that normally allow to person to resist or even way want to resist sexual aggression or assault cases. Some withdrawal symptoms of benzodiazepines are grand mal seizures, abnormal body sensation just like a crawling the insect on your body, body ache, delirium, muscle spasm, anxiety, panic attack, insomnia, nausea, etc. Other examples are ketamine. Ketamine is widely abused for hallucinations and also misused as date rape drug in recent years. Ketamine was derived from phencyclidine, also known as PCP, in 1960 for use as dissociative anesthetic. It caused anesthesia without respiratory depression by inhibition of natural uptake of norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and glutamine activation in the N-ethyl D-aspirate receptor channels, which is present in the brain system. Effects of ketamine ingestion appear rapidly and last about 30 to 40 minutes with sensation of flotation outside the body, visual hallucinations just like a you or saw any kind of tree and pretend this one it is someone stand here there dreamlike state along with these desired effect. Ketamine is commonly used as club drug and also mixed with alcohol, committing sexual assault, robbery with the victims. Other one is alcohol. Alcohol is a common depressant that slows the activity of the central nervous system. Alcohol is by far the most prevalent drug rape, date rape drug and easy to use because it is illegal and socially accepted. In some cases, assaulters take advantages of the fact that an individual is drinking heavily. In other cases, the assaulter is actively involved in ensuring that individual get drunk by using drink, encouraging him or her to drink and pouring drink with more alcohol than usual. Either cases when individual is drunk or she or he is legally unable to consent to sexual activity. Recently, it has been reported that the drug like GHB, benzodiazepines, and ketamine, or any one of them, is mixed in the alcoholic drinks before committing the sexual assault. Other one is gamma hydroxybutyric acid. Gamma hydroxybutyric acid are naturally occurring substance found in the central nervous system. Wine, beef, small citrus fruit, just like lemon or oranges, and almost all animal in small amount. It is used to treat catalepsy. Catalepsy, it means loss of sensations, daytime sleepiness in patient with narcolepsy. Narcolepsy means extreme tendency of fall asleep. It is also neuroprotective therapeutic nutrient that is categorized as an illegal drug in many countries. GHB is naturally produced in the human body cells in and is structurally related to the ketone body and hydroxybutyrate as a supplement drug. It is used most commonly in the form of a salt or a powder form. GHB is also produced as a result of fermentation and so is found in small quantity in some beers and wine and other alcoholic beverages. Other one is lysergic acid diethylamate. We all know about that. LSD, it is also known as LSD. LSD, first synthesized in 1938, is an extremely potent hallucinogen. It is manufactured from lysergic acid, which is found in ergot. You also know ergot. It is synthesized from the barley plant, barley or rye, as just like a fungus growing on the rye and barley. LSD is produced in crystalline form and then mixed with excipient or diluted as a liquid of production of ingestible forms. LSD trips, the user may suffer acute anxiety or depression and may also experience flashbacks, which are recurrence of the effect of LSD days or even months after taking the last dose. USD LSD users may also manifest relatively long-lasting psychosis, such as schizophrenia or severe depression. This is extremely dangerous practice given the unpredictability of the drug. Steps you may not concern: do not drink more than you want to. Do not drink anything that smells strange or just like a color changes of in drink your regular drinking. Get help right away. Look out from your friend and ask them look out of for you. Do not accept drink from other people just like strange peoples in a bar or club and parties. Investigational challenges. Date rape drugs has a very short life, and these characteristics of drugs make it challenging to the forensic examiner. Date rape drugs is detectable in victim's blood and urine for approx 6 to 72 hours after ingestion. Therefore, specimen samples should be collected as soon as possible. If you think you may have been drugged and raped, get medical care right away. It is important that you try not to urinate, shower, wash your hand, brush your teeth and hair, changes your clothes. or eat drink before you go. A doctor or nurses may be able to collect evidences of the assault from your body or your clothes or your belongings. Date rape drugs test with the help of nail polish. Date rape drugs are used to fraction of all small sexual assault, but they still can put people in dangerous situations. They are tasteless or odorless, making them nearly impossible to detect and can make people drowsy or even cause them to black out. I'm sharing a case study with you. In this case, the four classmates of North Carolina State University came up with the idea more than 4 years ago. The thinking was to give women a way quickly, discreetly taste their drink at bar and parties with nail polish that change color when dipped into drinks laced with the date rape drugs. It would take a few years for science to catch up this type of case. There are many more kit available in market to analyze the date rape drugs, just like a strip and tablets form. When you put your strip in your drink, it changes its own color. Then we can identify it the drink mixed with the date rape drug. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Due to an urgent emergency visit to a crime scene, two of our speakers were unable to join us, and we'll be organizing another separate session with them on our YouTube channel live. And with this, I would like to conclude the International Virtual Conference on Role of Forensic Science in Criminal Investigation. I would like to thank all our esteemed speakers for their valuable time and knowledge for lectures, and I'm sure each one of us have learned a lot from them. I would especially like to thank our audience and our organizing team, Mr. Anuj Kumar, Mr. Mahipal Singh Sakla, Mr. Kapil Parihar, and Ms. Mayuri for organizing this event. I would like to thank you all on the behalf of the Department of Forensic Science and Legal Design Media and Insight for being a part of our event and making it a great success. The certificate will be sent online to the participants, and we will be notifying you about more such events. Do subscribe to our channel as we will be posting our other sessions, knowledge series, lectures, and guest lectures on forensics and other law courses and even on law policies. So make sure you have subscribed to our channel, and please do follow us or do follow us, Legal Design Media and Insights and Public Policy Media on social media. And in case of any doubts and queries, you can mail us at office@legaldesire.com. And with this, I would like to end the virtual conference. Thank you.